Okay, folks, welcome back. Hey, Ben, you're number one. You get the crown. You get to wear the crown there. All right. So, a couple things. Did I film this morning? I guess I didn't. I don't know. Everything's a blur. I got on here as quick as I could get on here. I wasn't gonna work late if I could help it today. It's my birthday, so I'm being told. So I'm not working late. A couple of years ago, I'm like, I'm never working on my birthday again. Well, when it falls on a Thursday, you know, I'm not going to take days off just to take days off. That's stupid. So this morning, yesterday we painted this thing and we stripped what will become the big twink. I didn't say the driver is a big twink. I'm just saying that's what the name of this thing is. It's going to have the Twinkie decals on it. Well, maybe the driver wants to be a big twink, you know. That's okay. It's going to be baby yellow, mainly. I think I'm going to make the roof white. That may be the only thing on it. We're going to have a white roof on it just to break it up a little bit. And we're going to plate this eggshell type color that they call Daybreak. Okay, and it's going to have Twinkie decals on it. Hopefully these decals aren't a piece of shit. They are all one sheet. So I'm going to have to cut them out individually, which I'm not thrilled about that. But I think this Twinkies will fit right here, inside here, without it being bent. You know, without having to crinkle it up a little bit. This Twinkie dude roping somebody, hopefully will fit, like, somewhere that's not too uneven. Hopefully, if not, we won't put them on there. But this is a weekend project, okay? Well, the weekend's tomorrow, so, you know. And I don't know exactly how I'm going to lift this to get it up off that. But I don't think I'm going to use the inside of this vehicle. Because we're going to close it up anyways. We're going to close up all this, and you're not going to be able to see inside anyway. So it's kind of a waste using this. Because this will fit nicely on here. I don't like being wasteful, you know. This is the original vehicle. This is how it came. So we're going to replace this. We're going to put this on the bottom of this monster truck because it is a monster truck. I designed it at lunchtime today. I know what it is. It's going to have a ram on it. It's probably going to have this ram on it, and it's going to have a glue dropper, so you could run over somebody and then drop a glue on them. You know, and besides, that can be lots of things. It could be the creamy filling of the Twinkie, or it could be something else. I'm just going to leave that right there. You can use your own imagination. But, you know, this game's about having fucking fun, so let's have fun. I'm going to drop this a little bit, I think, and I'm going to say I'm going to use the Dremel, but I think the Dremel is kind of overkill. We're going to drop this a little bit, close up this gap, and I think in that gap we can put this big nasty ram. And the ram can go right there. It clears the wheels, and and I'm not too. This does have a nice front to this vehicle, but it's the same vehicle as Fist Off has, except the Fist Off one is definitely cartooned a little bit. So we've seen this front of this vehicle before, just in a different venue. You know, it's not like, oh man, this vehicle's very retro looking and they're not going to be able to see it. You can check out Fist Off. It doesn't have this on it. So I don't mind covering it a little bit. I think that's where that needs to ride. So if I drop this a few millimeters or something, it'd probably be okay. There's no need to put the inside of this on it, because then I'll have to cut this armature down to get this to fit. And it just seems rather wasteful. But that's what I feel like at the moment. It could change. It might not work what I want to do. It might be one of those that, okay, I'll just cut this off the top. I'll put this on it. I still am going to save this for something else. So I may go that route, but I'm just thinking out loud here. So does this fit on here nicely? Actually, it gives you a nice place for that to Yeah, and I don't care that the ram's all the way up here, and it's like, well, how's it going to hit somebody if it's not down here? Okay, not that much physics, okay? Not worried about it that much. But anyways, this is going to be the big twank. The big twank. All right? That's next. This guy that we built yesterday, we built all the armor for it. This is the purple payload, or something like that. It is a Vauxhall. Did I say that right? The Hall of Vaux. A Vauxhall Ute, or UTE. It's like a utility vehicle truck. I remember seeing this, and I'm like, oh, this looks like a Jetta. Like a Volkswagen Jetta. It does, as a pickup truck. And they had the Rabbit trucks in the 80s. And I want to say they made Jetta trucks. I don't know if they were made in the if they made it out to the United States, but I'm not just making that up. There's such a thing as Jetta trucks. You know, the front of it is a Jetta, and the back of it is a, you know, little small pickup truck. But we built the panels for that, and we primed them black. We finished building them this morning, primed them black, and we're going to paint the metal bits on this thing, and hopefully we can get this guy done today. All right, so step one. Let's get a metal undercolor on it. Okay, and this is a pretty modern looking vehicle, so I'm not going to go to the tin bits. I'm going to just go with the darkest color I have, which is Iron Warriors. This one first, that one's next, then probably either a taxi or that Porsche. I don't know what the Porsche is going to be called, but it's all black. It's got gold wheels, probably something like the Schwarze or something like that, you know, the black one or whatever. I don't know. What else is black in German? Something. Which the other 911 that I have is also black. But it's got, it actually was a neon, like, I think it was under the neon racers or neon something or other. But it's got some neon colors and it's got numbers, but the other one is just, it's just black. Where is it? Here it is. Some insulting name. Because all my Germans have, you know, insulting names. Not to insult Germans, just to insult the driver. I mean, they're a criminal, you know. All the drivers are criminals. No need to be nice to any of them. Okay. A brush that's not too big and not too small. So say something like this should be okay. There's one nickname which the name of it escapes me. In German, and it says, it means like, and I don't remember what it is, but it's like a mile long. The name of it is like a mile long. I don't even remember what letter it starts with. But the gist of that name is a face that needs slapping. There's just been a slappable face or whatever. It's like, well, I gotta name a German vehicle that, you know, and I forget what the hell it is, you know, but it's, you know, a face that needs slapping. What are insulting names in German? Should come up pretty easily here. No, it's not here because this is a long ass freaking name. Arschgeiger, yeah, I already have that one. Dummkopf, everybody knows what that one is. Schussel, a clumsy or scatterbrained or forgetful person. That might work. Erbsenzähler. Erbsenzähler, that's right. Umlauts is a short sound. Ah, no. Spay. Oh, that's right. Panzer Spaywagen. So that would be Urbenzähler. Erbsenzähler. P counter. Used for a pedantic person, well, there's a British word, who is overly fixated on tiny, unimportant details. Pedantic or anytime I see somebody type something that says pedantic, I'm like, oh, you're from Old Blighty. That and firstly, nope, You're British. Nothing wrong with that. You don't use that in America. Sorry. That's the one. That's the word. Backpfeifen. Backpfeifen. Pfeifen. Gescheit. I don't know. Yeah, a face that needs slapping. That one came up. Trottel, a common term for a dummy or idiot. Jammerlappen. I like that one. Complaining. It means, in quotation marks, complaining rag. Used for a crybaby or somebody who constantly whines. Ooh, the pink Porsche needs to be that one. It's a guy who broke out and he pulled out in front of me. What a little bastard. Yeah. Stop. Shut up, you Jammerlappen. Jammerlappen. I'm going to take a screenshot. I love this. Hurenschon. Hurenschon, a highly offensive term meaning son of a whore. What, whores can't have kids? Come on, man. Excellent. Yes, that's the word. I like that one coal thief name and logo from the one martyr. The coal thief. Well, that's the problem with World War II German vehicles. They almost all sound really cool. I want, like, shit-sounding names, Like, I don't want to call something Martyr or something like that. Except, what is it? The two Dicker Max. That sounds stupid, And, what's the other one? Shit, Dicker Max is two of those, and then there's two. Oh, Stura Emil, stubborn Emil. That's like, okay, that's lame. Remember, all these drivers are criminals, man. We don't want to celebrate any of them. Okay? Doesn't matter what country you're from. We don't want to celebrate any of them. You should applaud when they die in the race. That's how my community of drivers is built. All of my guys are really bad folks. A face that needs slapping. Yeah, I have a Volkswagen bus. I don't mean a microbus. It's some like electric insane thing. That's going to be the back end flapping thing. back end. I'm going to take a photo of the screen. I thought it would. That's how I came up with that name. I don't know. I don't speak German. I only speak Blitzkrieg German. So all the Blitzkrieg words, I know those. But these, other ones, I don't know. That's how I found out about that name. What is considered disrespectful in Germany? Arriving late to appointments, ignoring quiet hours, walking in bike lanes, and being overly familiar too quickly. But nothing about, like, attacking countries just for the hell of it, or not wearing deodorant. Okay, got it. Oh, man. I love you German people. Just put on some deodorant, for God's sakes. And I don't want warm beer. You guys make the best beer in the world, but man, it's not warm. I don't drink warm coffee. My coffee's cold. Yeah. And the French vehicles we'll name them all after pastries. Bakery items. How about that? I haven't done one yet, but I've got a lot of Italian vehicles. I've only done one. I got like 16 or 18 Italian vehicles. The Coal Thief name and logo. Yeah, the logo that you're talking about actually looks like a Chinaman. What are you talking about, Chinaman? Go look at the logo. It looks like some Chinese guy. Like it's like a Chinese Mickey Mouse. Something like that. Or maybe it was like a Chinese Adolf Hitler. I don't remember what it looks like. He's got the Fu Manchu long. That's why I say Chinese. I think he's. Martyr, tank, destroyer. And the problem with that Martyr is that is a Martyr 2. And I don't have a Martyr 2. And that's the best looking Martyr, I think. The Martyr 3H doesn't look. I'm sorry, Martyr 3H doesn't look bad. Martyr tank destroyer with logo. Images. Should be able to find it. It's famous. It's famous from that Tamiya kit. And it looks good. Here he is. Now he's like Chinese French or whatever. Yeah, this guy right here. That's a good looking Martyr. That's a Martyr 2. Yeah, here it is. Is it a coal miner or something? Yeah, there he is. And I don't know what the symbol 1A means. Maybe that's from the one battery or something like that. Maybe it's the adjutant of the first battery or something like that. Anyhow. Oh, you have a new fake Arab character name, Al Stabia. Oh, that's good. It was kind of concocted after we had 5 stabbings in a week around here. So, let me ask you a question. I'm not trying to be argumentative. Why doesn't somebody, stab back? Because, I'm not saying, go after somebody, but, they started it. Somebody starts stabbing people, go stab the guy back. I don't know, maybe for all I know, that's how somebody stopped. How somebody stopped them, Or you had the cops go in there and say, what was it that, oh man, Robin Williams used to say, the British cops, color unarmed, what are you going to do? Say stop, or I'll say stop again? That's the one thing I remember from him. Well, if I did have a character of that denomination, they would be on the on the Dune Dudes team. Anything that involves sand or something like that. That'd be a good fit. So you could have you could have beach bums. You could have terrorists from lands that have a lot of sand in them. You could have Now, like I said, it's not talking about Everybody, you got a neighbor that's from over there. We're not talking about him. We're talking about these guys are convicted felons that are on these teams. Like if this is a taxi driver, he would, give free rides to kids and molest them or whatever it was. Whatever, this guy deserves the death penalty on all the vehicles. There's no good people here. I had one black guy that I was talking to yesterday. I checked the guy's load, and he told me what his name is. I got to write down what his name is and his phone number for this job that we're doing. And he told me what his name is. I said, let me guess where you're from. And I said, Turkey. And he's like, yes, how did you know that? I said, because I wasn't born yesterday. He just had a Turkic sounding name. Nothing wrong with that. You don't get to pick who your mother is, One was a girl stabbed in the neck. One was a machete fight. Yeah, see, that's what I'd want to carry, a machete. Because, I don't think I've seen a machete used in a zombie movie either. That would be like the weapon to have. Like a really long one in a zombie movie. 2 were separate incidents of broken bottles being used, and 1 only just happened with no further updates. You guys need some vigilantes. Actually, I think every place could use some vigilantes. You gotta be you gotta be careful who you vigilante against, but. People that go after defenseless people, man, that's not cool. And was it just like violence against random people? Because that doesn't make any sense. I'm a pacifist, but if somebody says, well, we gotta, what is it? I'm sure there's probably a plot to one of those movies. Like, you need to commit acts of violence or one of your loved ones. Something will happen to one of them. I'm sure there's a plot of a movie. So this person goes out and commits acts of violence. If something like that happens, like, okay, well, go down your list of people that have done you wrong, not just random people, The guy that stabbed the girl had 10 bells knocked out of him by the girl's father. What the hell? He was knocked out. 10 bells. English, do you speak it? He got the shit beat out of him by the girl's father. Okay. Did she make it? But that's not around you, right? You live in a tiny town. That's like London problems, right? Or Manchester, or Liverpool, or Birmingham, Birmingham. One of those big shithole cities. And I say shithole cities because like Baltimore, or like Chicago, or the shithole cities we have here too. That are just a cesspool of too many people. Yeah, she's okay. The machete one was a gang clan thing, but the rest were random. It's the MacGuffins and the O'Learys going at it again, huh? Clan MacGuffin. Nobody can find any of them. Yeah, it's just a plot device. These were 10 minutes away and getting closer. Time to start building up Hadrian's Wall again. If this time you haven't faced it the other way, you got to look south, not look north. Now, those big cities just breed all kinds of problems. I'm not saying there's no problems in some podunk towns either, but too much angst in those big cities. Well, you got your tiny little dog to protect you. Oh, man. Man, this looks like a Guinness. It's not, though. I'd be a lot happier. Last weekend we went to, we were out of town and we ended up going to this brewery. And I don't know how it is in Britain, but in the United States, these independent breweries seem like they have a hard on for putting as much hops and stuff. It's not like, I mean, I get it. Some people like IPAs and bitter things like that, but like 75% of this stuff is like heavy hop. I'm like, and it's like I can drink it, but it's like, why suffer? If I want my tongue that dry, I'll have gin, and I like gin, but it's hard to find people that make things that aren't overly hopped. They must be cheaper. It must be cheaper than everything else. Okay, we're trying to paint this everywhere it goes so that if we miss a spot on purpose when we do the purple, because yes, this is going to be purple. It's going to be color matchy. It looks better that way. It looks like, it's supposed to go together. It looks like I missed me a spot down there in the black. So I'm not going to use primer for this because it might take a little longer to dry. So let's go ahead and just use regular paint. The Gangs of Britain. I think that was a thing, but... Cruel Britannia, indeed. All right. Let's paint this whole bastard in this color. Because this is aftermarket. Right? The vehicle was already in this purple color. That's my backstory to this vehicle. And they put this aftermarket stuff on here. I'm going to pull this off. It's just hot glue gunned in. Okay, we'll just hot glue gun it back. Just wanted to see what it looked like. In your village, what is the most common vehicle that people own? I'm assuming that you have people that own cars. Like, what's their go-to car? Because, like, when I went to London, I know London is not typical of the United Kingdom the same way that New York isn't typical of the United States. But when I went to London, I was surprised by how many Kias or Hyundais they had. How many of the South Korean cars they had? They had a lot. I mean, they had a lot of Toyotas too, but a lot of electric vehicles too. There was a news report that the English fans in Texas drank a Dallas pub dry, so they had to call in the police to remove them. 30,000 pounds spent on 5,000 beers. 6-pound beers, huh? Well, I'm pretty sure I'm never going to be an alcoholic. I'm not really doing very well on my journey to alcoholism. I'm not alcoholicism. I'm my journey to that. It's not going well. I am just not carrying my weight. It's just not working out. You know, and I've said this before. This should be black as well. This looks like it's some kind of a liner. You know, when I grew up playing war games, I was one of the youngest people in the group that I played war games with. And we didn't play at somebody's house. We kind of played at a public place, so it never made sense to me to drink and play a game. Especially since it, involved, like, you needed to think. And, drinking is like where you don't need to think. I just never put the two things together. And it makes me sleepy. I'm surprised they would have found anything in a Dallas pub that would be worth drinking. Like, all we got is Bud Light. Oh, right, we'll do that. No, you won't. That stuff's terrible. Or other unflavored things. All right. Let's get out our starting point on the purple journey and see what kind of a color this is. I think it's going to be a little bit more red than this. This is more, ooh. You get a fair mix of cars here. I do see a few Corsas. Funny enough, there are a few convertibles that rock up at the school to collect their kids. Yes, they sell convertibles here. What do? Come with a wetsuit? Corsas. What the hell? Corsa is something else. What the hell is a Corsa? In other words, they have it. We have it here. It's just called something else. What the heck is a Corsa? Corsa car. Opel. No, they don't have those here. Opel's, no. Oh, there's a Vauxhall. Well, both of those are GM spinoffs, right? Vauxhall was a GM-ish thing, and Opel is a GM. Is it safe to say that Opel is the poor man's Volkswagen? They have a great symbol, especially if, you're a white supremacist. I mean, it's a cool symbol. Too bad, the crooked spider people ruined that. Corsa was rebadged under the Chevrolet, Holden, and Buick brands. Corsa was once the best-selling car in the world in 1998. What? Some of these look like a Chevette. The one that really surprised me when I went to Spain, they had some brand from, well, I knew where it was, from Czechoslovakia, because it was the same people that made the Czech tanks. Now I can't think of what it is. But anyways, it was the Czech tank brand. I'm like, I know who those guys are. They're from Czechoslovakia. Skoda. The bars and pubs are importing foreign beers based on the teams playing in those cities. Must be grim on the Bud Light sales front. The worst thing about drinking something is that it tastes bad. The second worst thing is that it doesn't have enough taste to taste good or bad. Now, obviously, you don't want to drink something that tastes like crap, but at least it has a taste. Yeah, see, this is This is more blue. This has more red in it. So we're going to tinker with this thing. Yep. All right. Can we use a Games Workshop color? I think we can. I mean, this is really close, just being metallic. I'm going to mix these two. I love mixing shit. Getting these colors to all behave each other. Okay, Lich Purple. Meet your new friend. Oh my goodness. This thing hasn't been opened since Margaret Thatcher was around. Let's mix a little bit of this metallic-y with this color. That's spot on. That's spot on. Those colors are reminding me of those horrendous purple camo pants they used to sell at Hot Topic. They have Hot Topic there? Yeah, now they don't have the purple pants. Now they have the people that work there with the purple hair. All of a sudden, the purple wasn't such a bad idea. The Navy, the U.S. Navy, has cool-looking uniforms now. I don't know what kind of camouflage it would be, but it's like digital camo, but blue. Like different shades of blue. Looks a hell of a lot better than those, you know, those 18th century, late 18th century bell-bottoms. They got Hot Topic in the Britain. Wow. My condolences. Now, they skipped us. I saw them when I was over in the States. No big loss. Do you guys have a Spencer's too? Hot Topic and Spencer's go together. Look at this. It's like it's like the same fucking color. It can be off a little bit, you know, because this is the color the car really came in, and they just decided to, you know, add this shit to it so that it looks like it's part of the vehicle, you know. Well, at least I know I'm good at one thing. I love what I call color matching. It's fun, you know. I saw an advert today. What was a Facebook thing, whatever it was, and it had some attractive British woman. I forgot what it was, and she was eating. And the comment was, the article was something like, British lady United States discovers Chick-fil-A for the first time, and she was like astounded, you know, whatever. And then one of the comments I remember seeing said, "All right. All the attractive British women can stay." Somebody's comment was on it, was it? Yeah, that was just today. I saw that, I think in the morning when I was eating my breakfast grub. Well, this certainly sparkles. Oh, too much metallic. Because this metallic color is also bluer purple than this, and it also has a little bit of silver in it, so it's going to lighten it up a little bit also. Another one you mean she's doing it to make money from people following her? Well, I don't think that it was a live video. I think it was just yeah, this one of those attention whores. That's what I call them. Yeah, I don't know if you could search Chick-fil-A British girl. Let me do a search for that. Images. No, it wasn't a video that I saw. It was just like a still. Oh, I guess it's a popular thing. I didn't realize that it was... Anyhow. We have, they built one right around the corner. And I kid that we have the dumbest workers at that one. They're usually known, what they're really known for is two things. Being closed on Sunday and having the most competent drive-through people working there. Like the most competent people at a fast food place work at a Chick-fil-A in the United States. Not this outfit. We get the rejects. They're still better than any of the other places, but that's not saying anything. Or maybe that's actually saying a lot. Yeah, it was just an article. So if there's somebody going around doing their rounds trying to collect money, I didn't know about it. She didn't check with me first. Okay, that's closed up. Now this big old rocket launcher. This thing's going to be a useless vehicle or it's going to be deadly. I'm pretty sure there's no middle ground on this one. It's just going to be like, oh, that thing again. We're done. I saw a girl was eating sausage, bacon, egg while saying she has never seen a meal like it in Britain. Well, there's plenty of bad food here too. It's not like, oh, American. Prior to COVID, I used to say the best food in the world is in the United States. And the reason why I say that is because we have access, or we used to have access to everything. And as a general rule, generally, the people of the United States are very they're adventurous with a palate. They're not like, oh, we don't eat Thai food, or we don't eat, food from Vietnam, or, we don't, I'd say they're very, maybe adventurous is not the word I'm thinking of. They're very, they're willing to go outside their comfort zone. Not everybody, but as a general rule, I would say that, if you put an ethnic restaurant, it's going to be popular, What's up, Justin? As long as you can understand the menu. We went into an Indian restaurant a couple years ago, and I personally love Indian food because it's not bland. But this restaurant, I just felt like I just didn't belong there. Like, I'm like, what in the heck is what? I couldn't read the menu. The menu was in English. I don't know what the hell I was reading. There was no pictures. I'm like, I don't know I don't know what animal this is. Does it come with bones or without? I'm like, I don't understand what this is about. And the food wasn't bad. By the time we figured out, but it's like, I don't know what the hell I'm ordering. 66 degrees, low of 54, windows open. Today felt like 110. It feels like 110. Yep. What is it right now? It's probably off that a little bit and not too far off of it. Let's see. Real feel 99. 90 degrees, real feel 99. Yep. Welcome to hell. Take a seat. At least there's no thunderstorms. daily. Oh, it's a little cooler tomorrow. It's only going to be up to 91. Probably feels like 101. Yeah. Oh, it's a cooler day tomorrow. A mean way of phrasing it would be liberally gluttonous. You guys overcomplicate everything, don't you? I was thinking of a phrase, and I should have written it down because I don't remember what it was. But I think I was working on this, and I came across some kind of a phrase. And maybe I should save it until I remember it. But and I forget where I came across it, but I came across that phrase and I thought of like, this reminds me of something that would be uttered by Mike Tyson if he was defending me in a court of law. It just was something just ridiculous. And I should have written down what it was. But it was just some saying, or I don't think it was a word, I think it was a saying that I was like, just thinking, I'm like, that just sounds like something. If Mike Tyson was an attorney and he had to defend me in a court of law, that's the term he would use. You'll take Michigan? Well, absolutely. Well, the worst thing about 101 is if there's any bugs involved, because it just drives you crazy. Now, you can just be like, okay, it's hot. I get it. I get to go home and take a shake shower. But it's hot. At least it's sunny. It's not like it's depressing, right? But man, if you get somewhere where there's like freaking bugs, like flies and shit, like they'll drive you bananas. Last garbage day. Garbage day for us. Well, the day I take the garbage out is Thursday, because it comes in at 0:30 on Friday morning. So last garbage day, there was some stuff that I needed to take out. So there's things that accumulate in the garage, like boxes and things like that. Not any food items, but just like boxes and things like that. I don't take them all the way out because the garbage cans are around the corner from the garage. So I'm like, I'll just put it there. It's not food, or it's just packaging or whatever. And then I'll bring the garbage cans up to the garage, and then I'll fill them and then take them out. With all those things. And as soon as I opened the garbage can lid, there was just like flies. There must have been like a rinds of like a melon or something like that previously. It didn't necessarily smell bad, but the flies were like all wound up. And it's just like, it's something I remember as a kid, there being like a lot of flies. I just don't encounter flies anymore. It's like, I know they're around, but they're like not an issue until last Thursday. And there was like, they drive you fucking crazy. And it might have only been like 4 flies, but they're like all up in your shit. It's like, man, get away from me. I remember being a kid, like, you go outside and, oh, we're going to have a picnic, or we're going to celebrate somebody's birthday party at a park. Flies are always a freaking issue. They'll drive you crazy. But it's been years since it's been an issue. I remember we got one that was in a meeting. We're having a meeting in the conference room, and some fly was buzzing around. It was driving a couple of people to the meeting. A couple of people were swatting in the middle of the meeting, and I broke out of character and just say, hey, can somebody take a shit in the corner? Because then the fly would go like, droppings, and that would solve the problem. Just take a dump in the corner of the conference room, and then the flies will be all over there feasting. People mention they don't see as many splattered flies on windshields anymore. Well, that's certainly been the case for a couple of years now, and this year they came back. It's funny, we know of this person who's like how would I describe this person? A tree of the month leftist. They're an extreme leftist. And they just, I don't hate trees or anything, but I mean, they're just an extreme leftist. And they wrote an article that was in the local paper saying that there's this certain bug that there's different rumors where it came from. It's a harmless little bug. They even move slow, but they're called a love bug because they're usually connected to another one, and they're basically retarded, and they can't get out of the way of anything. So cars just, you'll go, if it's that season, cars will just be covered in them, obviously on the front where they smash them. And they're little. They're like maybe mosquito size, but they don't have big legs, and they don't bite or anything. But they supposedly taste bad. They supposedly taste like tar or something like that, and birds won't eat them. So when they turn into an infestation, and they're also attracted by the color black and carbon monoxide. So on the highways, you could get into a big, and they hurt your car because their acid will end up eating your paint. But I mean, they're really harmless, right? But they're everywhere. So this lady, how'd you know it was a lady? Exactly. Had written this article and was published in the paper. Like, I came here and many years ago when I complained about these things, but now I'm sad that I haven't seen him in a couple. Well, now they came back this year. This was like 4 or 5 years ago, and they had diminished a little bit. And it's like in the springtime, there's like a big group of them, and then also like in September. So it's like April, May, and September, October, whatever. They get really bad, and they were kind of light like the last 3 or 4 years. Then she had to open her fucking trap, and all of a sudden they come back. And there's a rumor that they were created at the University of Florida. No, they came from bananas that were imported from Africa. I don't know what they are. They basically are just an animal that they don't have any predators other than the windshield. And they're harmless, but they'll be like everywhere, and then they won't be anywhere. And they're called love bugs. I'm sure they have some kind of scientific name, developed by some nerd burglar or whatever, but you remember some rides? I remember on some rides in America having Mothra-sized ones make a loud thunk hitting the glass. Well, I don't know if you've ever heard my show in the morning. Sometimes you'll hear things hitting the glass here. And, like, my house isn't moving, right? There's no tires on my house. But I have a feeling that's what I call June bugs. And I'm okay with those. They're like little flying beetles. And they're kind of cute, I've always called them June bugs. I don't know that that's really what they are. June bugs. Let's see. Yeah, they look like this little guy. I'm sorry, this is cute. I don't want to look at them under a microscope. Totally harmless. And they're about this big, and, I don't want them as a pet, but... Yeah, these guys are like, they don't like pools. They go and drink out of a pool, and if you have a pool, we don't have a pool, but we had a community pool. They'd be dead everywhere. They're like, water is, but they're not gross. They don't move fast, or, well, they might actually carry disease, but they're kind of cute. Honestly. They're really pretty cute. I like beetles, Roaches? Nope. And just roaches scurrying a random, no. Absolutely not. Bill Gates invented a tick that makes you not want to eat red meat. I don't know if that's true. If somebody's that much trouble, can we just off him? And I just don't believe these stories where somebody's like this conspiracy guy, like, this Soros is controlling everything. I said, well, just do away with him. If that guy's that much trouble, if this guy's masterminding everything, why don't they do away with that guy? I don't buy it, Somebody showed me a picture of something Elon Musk has. Oh, Elon Musk has all this money, whatever. If I had a hundredth of how much money Elon Musk has, I wouldn't work another day, and I'd leave. You know what? And I'd leave people alone. Like, I'm just going to go over here in the corner, and I'm just not going to cause any problems. I'm just going to shut the fuck up. And I'm going to live my life, I'm going to buy an island. No, not that one. And design my own flag for it, and just leave people alone, But rich people that want to get in everybody's business, like, somebody's got a small penis problem, Throw a June bug on a spider web. Nah, that's kind of mean, man. That's kind of mean. You know, I don't hate spiders either. I mean, if they're tarantula, no, no. But we actually have some spiders that are cute. And they're, yes, they're very small, right? They wouldn't be like, oh, look at this huge thing. No. They're little hopping spiders, and they're really cute. So I'm not a spider hater, but banana spiders, those big creepy things like that, those can go away. Hopping spider, what's it called? See, the thing about a spider is you can get away from them, or you could like, oh, you want to. Let's see, it might even be. It might be this guy. And you get too close to some of these creatures, and all of a sudden they're not cute anymore, you know? Let's see if I can see him. Is it this? I don't know. I always know that really big men, I'm not one of them, okay? I'm not talking about like fat. I'm talking about like burly, right? I'm not burly. This picture is a lot bigger than they are. They're cute. They leap, hop. They're cute. I don't want them on me, you know, but I'm not going to go and kill them. Well, if they're in the house, all rules are off, right? We have a spider in Michigan called the wolf spider. Yeah, we got those. I mean, the babies crawl on the back. So if you squash them, you know, the babies scatter everywhere. And they're little, but, you know, we don't want that kind of. But, you know, spiders don't want you. You know, they're cleaning stuff. The problem is that, you know, they startle you. It's the roaches that. And I don't have roaches because of food in here. You have palmetto bugs because that's what you call them, the big nasty things. They're bigger than your thumb. Yeah, those will. No. No, thank you. Yeah, but what's up with these rich people that just can't leave people alone, man? If I got my money, I got mine, fine. You just do whatever you want, man, you know? I'm really good at minding my own fucking business. Now, you want to prime in white? That's fine. I prime in black. We can coexist, you know? It's not a big deal. I'm 5'10" or 11. 5'11" and shrinking. I don't need to prove anything. Perfectly. You live your life, you know? I don't care. Alright, let's see what this looks like. I'm a visual person. I'm looking at this, and the color purple, you know what it reminds me of? Shockwave. It looks like Shockwave. And if you don't know who Shockwave is, well, then you're not from the 1980s, are you? Actually, technically, I'm from the 1970s, but my awakening was in the 1980s. I don't remember much about the 70s, fortunately. Okay, that looks pretty good. What's next? Black lining? Black lining. Not strong tone. It already has strong tone on it. Dark tone. Where is she? Dark tone. Yeah, I skipped dinner. I just went right to this. I'm like, I don't want to be slowed down. And there's at least 5 people supposedly watching. Welcome, welcome. any thinner than this. This is going to be a little too coarse. We just want these little break points in this to stand out. Where are we? Over here? Is this it? That's the one. I gotta take a piss. This is a very male-centric audience, but if I had a very female-centric audience, I'd be like, hold on, I gotta go change my tampon. That reminds me of the days that people could... I'd get on the miniatures page in the morning, back in the early 2000s, and people would find anything to complain about on there. We need to get more women in the hobby. There needs to be more women in the hobby. Hey, I've played war games with ladies in the game, and I welcome them. But the reality is, this is just something that just doesn't appeal to, maybe this more, but like, DBA or something like that. That's just something that just doesn't appeal to women. It just doesn't. I mean, I wish it did, but it just doesn't. You can't just change, whatever you want, Like most people that watch sports, not that I watch sports, but most people that watch sports are male. You can't just all of a sudden, we need to get more, When I go into, I don't go in anymore because it closed, Joann's Fabrics, I'm like, man, there needs to be more straight men that go into this place. What, into a fabric store? No, it's me and, that's it. That's okay. I don't get upset about it. It is what it is, Go into that store. I could spend a long time in there. These elderly women that work there. Can I help you find something? Like, are you lost? I'm not freaking lost, man. I can just spend 2 days in there looking at buttons and, use them for shields and stuff like that. Like, looking at fabric. I'm not going to make an apron or anything. Or clothes. I'm looking for fabric for my dolls. No. I was reading an article about how a certain movie tanked, and they were surprised that it tanked, and I'm like, why would you make another a Masters of the Universe movie? And he said the reason it tanked because it was all like dudes and them. Well, I could have told you that, But what was the last show that was based on something, a cartoon from your youth that you remember fondly that wasn't a piece of shit? I'm waiting. There might be one, or there might be two, but man, I can't think of what it is. I mean, if they made a Johnny Quest movie, it would suck. I don't know that they did. They might have made it. They might have made a Johnny Quest movie. Never occurred to me to watch a Scooby-Doo movie. First of all, if I was like, okay, all right, Tony, we're going to entrust you with making a Scooby-Doo movie, what was the first thing I would do? I'd make it like it's in 1968. I'd make it like it's in the period that Scooby-Doo was in, not modern day. That's like the first thing. We need to make a Transformers movie. Cool. It's in 1984, right? I mean, that's when the cartoon was around. It's silly to bring it to today's day. That'd be right out of the gate. That'd be like the very first thing you got to do. You're not doing that, it's not going to work. And there's a lot of other pitfalls it can have. We're going to make a G.I. Joe movie. Cool. It's set in 1984 or 85. No, I want to do it in modern day. It won't work. Won't work. It'll tank. I think it could tank anyways. I'm just saying that, I'm not even saying that's a good idea, but a lot of those things you have like fond memories of because you used to watch them as a kid. So you just expect it to be, to bring some of that, Some of that nostalgia. No. There might be something out there, but I'd be surprised. And guys just like different stuff. Like there's a movie that I went with a girl to go see, and with her friends, and her friends were a mixed bag, meaning females, males. I think there was only two of us that were male. Maybe there was a third one and like four females. I had no expectation of what this movie was about. And I guess they didn't know what the movie was about either. And I thought it was freaking hilarious and borderline, it was decent, if not worth going to the movie theater. And so did the other guy, Starship Troopers. I thought Starship Troopers was freaking hilarious. Now, is it a corny movie? Of fucking course. But it was, at least at the time, it had great graphics. The girls hated that movie. Absolutely hated that movie. We like dorky shit, Go watch Deadpool. How many people are seeing Deadpool? I actually have more of a maybe a 75 to 25% mix, but you need to come up with a name for the point where a film franchise becomes worse than its XXX parodies. Might be able to get a doctorate from the idea. Dr. Waddy. Professor Waddington, harumph. I've said it before. Movies, unlike video games generally, there's exceptions to it, but generally, as there's iterations of them, they get better. Movies are absolutely the opposite. I can't think of one movie right off the bat that the second, third, fourth was better than the first one. And no, that even includes Star Wars. I think the original Star Wars is better than Empire Strikes Back. I'm not saying Empire Strikes Back is bad. I'm just saying that the first one encompasses everything. I can't think of one. There might be one. There might be one. And then I would probably have to say, well, I need to go back and watch the first one again. But it's the exception. It's a film franchise. The more they make, the worse they get. The more they make, the worse they get. Come up with a name for a vanishing. I don't know. Something. They've realized it's just a cash cow. So we'll just throw shit out there and, the first one was successful? People just throw something out there and see if it sticks. Remember, they want to make money. We want to see the good film, We want the story to be good. We want a good narrative. They just want you to buy the damn ticket. I personally think that a lot of things would do better if they used no-name actors. And I don't mean nobody who doesn't know how to act, but I'm like, just like, that person in the role again. And like, let's put a movie. All right, well, we got to put Brad Pitt in it so people will maybe he's playing a character that is not a good fit for him. So I would think that there would be a fair amount of people that would not want to see the movie because of certain actors in it, as opposed to wanting to see the movie because of certain actors in it. I actually came across a movie the other day that I am not a fan of Brad Pitt. Not because he's a terrible actor. I just think he's just kind of like... who's that dude that everybody says is just kind of vanilla? The guy for The Bourne Identity. He's just kind of like him, Kevin Costner. They're better actors than I would be. But, I'm just saying that They're just kind of like vanilla, and they're just kind of boring or whatever. That's how I find Brad Pitt is. He just doesn't do anything for me. But he did a great job on Burn After Reading, where he played some dits at the workout gym. I thought it was his best. That's the best role I've seen him in. You know, hire theatrical actors, not models. Yeah, you know. Oh, now you got a phone call. So yeah, I prefer have people. So that's why I'm very pro foreign film. Odds are I don't know who these people are. Perfect. I'm not like, oh, that's the guy from such and such a movie. He's not really a good fit for this. You know, and you save a lot of fucking money, right? I mean, how much do you pay these people? Like, oh, we're gonna pay this guy, $6 million. I'm like, man, he ruined the movie. I don't know. They're just looking at it for different reasons. You know, which might explain why the acting in the parodies is approaching that in the blockbusters. Yeah, most of the time, what I find is the writing is terrible. They spend too much time on something that should be glossed over, and they gloss over things that should develop more time. It's just like, you know. And then you go and you watch something that shows like, oh well, here's the unedited movie. I'm like, oh my god, they edited it and kept all the shitty stuff and got rid of the good. But there's very few movies where I've gone and seen like, man, that is a good freaking movie. There's very few of them. And a lot of the problem is it's just like, okay, here we go again, the same old thing. Now I don't go and read ahead. I mean, the girls will watch a movie and they already know like, oh, it's gonna be that guy. That guy's gonna be the one that did it, and they'll like be right. And I'm like, dude, just enjoy the movie. I'm not trying to read ahead, trying to figure out who done it or whatever. And they're like right, like I'm just like enjoying the damn movie. You know, I just don't like cliches. Like, oh, okay, every adult is scared, but the kids are brave. Look, I've been an 8-year-old kid before. We're scared of shit. You know? Kind of like those Disney shows, right? They have these bratty kids. And the bratty kids are the ones that know everything and they're smart and everything. And the adults are stupid. They're stupid enough to go to work and not freaking take a belt to the bratty kids, right? They're like just lumbering around. Oh, they're an adult, but they're dumb as hell, you know? Take a belt to the bratty kid, Let them just get away with everything. There's a couple of shows that my wife would not let my daughter watch because the kids are just smart aleck little bastards. A smart aleck little bastard. All right, I need to go get some tea, or powdered water, as I like to call it. I'll be right back. All right. Right. I'm not sure what the hell that is down there. I guess we'll figure it out. What else needs to have the treatment on this? It looks dreadfully purple. Like it needs to have gold rims, but this is just going to be a free agent. This is, nobody that has any affiliation with a normal team. I'm not very excited. I'm not very excited about a new version of Gaslands. I'm actually dreading it a little bit. I just don't think that there's anything in the game that needs the risk of something that works be fucked with is higher than the appeal of, oh, they're gonna finally change this. And I'm not looking forward to playing it, learning how to play it again. Now, it's probably not going to be dramatically different, but I don't know. I didn't sign up for the beta. I wasn't asked to. I wouldn't anyways. It's kind of like you get to see how the sausage is made. Like if you work at, like, say, Disney or whatever, like there's no magic left. Like you already know, what's coming or whatever. It just doesn't appeal to me. All right, it's weathering next. So let's get our three candidates. This has worked really well. Keeping these three paints right next to each other in a certain spot, right in the middle at the top of the browns. And bam, they're like right there when I need them. All right, Mr. Chocolate Brown first. And no, I do the lights after this. I don't want the lights to be dulled. Do all that effort in doing the lights and end up getting dulled by the weathering. You can always come back and weather the lights a little bit with the final tone. All right, let's get a paintbrush that we don't have a lot of respect for, like this one. Something you don't mind mistreating it a little bit. And I might just use one of these too while I'm at it. All right, this is chocolate brown. And I may have one of the wheels come off here by accident, because they're not glued on here really well. Unintentionally so. I ended up getting tunnel vision. Like, man, I should have just built these on a rod and drilled the rod and put the rod all the way through. But I didn't do that. They're just glued on little blocks. Now, this is a dark vehicle, so this quote-unquote mud color isn't going to show up really well. But I don't think it's an excuse to not put it on there. Because it does look different if you do it or don't. It just gives you the appearance that it's not very different. Still looks like a Jetta. Jetta truck. All right, that's enough of that color. U.S. Field Drab. That's another thing I don't believe in. I'm not going to say believe, well, I did say it, but believe in, but that's unnecessary, is buying like weathering products of like, grit that's already brown. It has like, that's just, they're trying to get you to buy shit you don't need. When you want to buy it, that's fine, but I'm like, that stuff's too difficult to get in the first place. That's too difficult to get in the first place, to go and, continually buy something that you don't, some specialized thing that, and if you're going to buy something specialized, it should be able to make like a big difference. Like the mud makes a big difference, but stuff like, a filter or something like that. I don't want to like get a filter that's specifically for like blue. Like, just get something that works and everything, and then all your vehicles kind of, go together. You picked up a few of the new Vallejo model colors. The Pacific Green might prove useful. Did they come in a set or something, or? See, it's that whole business model that's like, oh well, no, these are our new accurate colors. Oh, okay, so you fooled us before. You got us to you blindfolded us and got us to buy a shitty product first, and so now we're supposed to believe you that these are the real colors. Like, stop. And I like Vallejo. I like Vallejo a lot. As long as you're acrylic, you're fair game. Like, I'll use you. Enamels, you can go fly a kite up somebody's ass. I'm not using enamels. I like to clean things, brushes with water. End of story. I'm not interested in using enamels. It's not 1982 anymore. These old people like, well, I still use the old. Do I get to say these old people? Or I can't still say that? I'll tell you what, I don't feel my age. So, it's because mentally you're a child. Well, I've been called worse. And these people are like, I still use. Somebody the other day was bragging about how they still used the cement that came in the bottle, like the squeegee one. Like, what'd you do? Lose a bet? And use what you want, but I haven't used that since. I don't think I've used that since Jimmy Carter was president. Okay, that's enough of that. We'll do some here just to. It doesn't look too out of place. You had points to spend, so I picked them up. Also got mustard brown, violet gray, and what color are these? This must be like a specialized paint set or something like that. Mustard yellow. I had all the Vallejo colors, and then went and created more, those sons of bitches. I gotta look. Mustard? Oh, mustard brown. Mustard brown. Vallejo. Mustard. Brown. Mustard brown. Those sons of bitches. They have new colors. And it's so difficult to go to some place like, okay, show me all the freaking colors you make. No. No. It's so difficult. You're like, okay, one place that shows me all the Hot Wheels that they make, irrespective of year. They'll have them, but you got to click on the individual years. I'll still go some places like I'll see things I've never seen before, and they're not even that old. secret to have some fruity colored thing like this is to make it dirty. Because something like this in this really bright, outlandish color would get dirty in a heartbeat. It wouldn't look like that in no time. Especially if people were out trying to shoot you or kill you. They're trying to shoot you with the side of killing you, you know? Mustard's an U148, violet gray is an U183, Pacific green is 81. Shit. So what did they replace? Okay, so let's go to, now you've piqued my interest. Where is my app called that isn't that useful? It sounds like it'd be really useful, and then you got a lot of upkeep on it. What the hell is it called? Paint Rack? Paint Rack. Made by a company called Courageous Octopus, as opposed to a Cowardly Octopus. Vallejo. Let's go to library. How do I organize this by sort view? Sort by color. Here we go. All right, you said that's a Pacific green is an 81. Yeah, that's the other problem is they have two numbers. They have like 890. That's not the 81. Like 8. If you look at this color, let me just pull the first one. 894 is 96. 894 is 96. This is 97. 83. What color did you say? Pacific? 81. 87. 89. 87. Oh, the best way to find it is, which color is Vallejo 81? Okay, model color line. Medium olive, 850. I'm sure I have it. It's also probably a color I haven't used a whole lot. 98. My gunship green's all fucked up. I haven't used it much anyways. Bronze green. You're looking for an old color chart. Now that I see it, they replaced it. Yeah, I wonder what mustard is. Mustard brown. Which color is Vallejo? Watch it be olive drab. They replaced it yet again. Which color is Vallejo 148? Mustard brown. Burnt umber. It was burnt umber 148. And what was the other one you said? Violet gray. Which color is Vallejo 183? Yeah, I don't know. But I personally hate that they replace colors. Just make a new color, you know? I have a sheet of paper that I printed out from Brookhurst Hobbies. That's where I got all these old ones. I'm like, man, this bronze green or whatever is a piece of shit. It's from Brookhurst Hobbies. I got these in the early 2000s, and they probably were sitting on the shelf for like a few years, and they separated, and they're relatively old. So I took their catalog back in the dial-up days and printed it and painted the color right next to the white paper on each one. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere. It's in the. It's not very useful. Otherwise, I'd know where the hell it is. But I had done that. Just like the original ones, I actually painted the top of the bottle, the top of the bottle cap, in with the actual paint what it was, and then realized, oh, I actually like the bottom sticking out, so it's not that useful. It was like, busy work. I'm not a fan of busy work if it's just to keep you busy, because I got enough to do, Medium olive is now 94. Yeah, they're just playing fucking games. I'm not worried about it until I got to replace them. Those are colors that I don't use very often. It's a cash grab, If people stopped protesting Vallejo and they gave them their wages and didn't work in a... Remember it was like a year ago or a couple years ago where everybody at Vallejo was like up in arms because, they weren't paying their employees well, and their work conditions had a roof that was falling on top of them or some shit like that, But they expanded up to 204, so why shuffle instead of just add? Exactly. I don't know. Maybe they had a lobotomy. One of the times they took one of those siestas that came back and somebody had given them a lobotomy and they came up with a bad idea. I don't know. I guess it could probably happen to you. I don't understand siestas, so don't come to me. This is what I want to do. Wake up twice in one day and go to work. Why would I want to go to work twice? Gilipollas. Okay. We need to do some lights. Some lights front and back. Let's do the front ones first. I believe this has 4 bulbs. So this is called a... is it Vauxhall? I think it is. What the hell is it called on the bottom? Holden. Holden Ute SSV 2010. Okay. Ooh, it's an old car. Holden Ute. 2 Utes. I should need to get another one. The team could be called 2 Utes. Holden Ute SSV 2010. It's actually an attractive looking vehicle. Okay, so we have a turn signal there in the corner. And 2 bulbs side by side there. And we got some fog lamps down here. We do? Okay. Well, I'm a big fan of fog lights being yellow. They're yellow on my car. So we're going to put them yellow on this thing too. Two Utes. You off tomorrow or you got to work tomorrow? Is it a banker's Friday or those have a bank holiday? What do you guys call them? A bank holiday? We have a bank holiday. Do you work at a bank? No. Well, then you need to call it something else or you're working. You're working on that day, pal. I'm a coal miner. You got to work on a banker's holiday. Sorry. Got to come up with some better terminology in that, pal. Well, I personally really hate when companies make decisions based on stockholders. It's different that, you want to like turn a profit. Like everybody wants to turn a profit. But man, when you got people pushing you that like just want to make money off, it's just like, it just seems like a conflict of interest. So the whole like, oh, we gotta sell more paint. Well, there's no more painters. Well, we gotta come up with something new, rebrand everything. Well, now you're not gonna get any you're not gonna get any new people, and you're gonna piss off the old ones. Euthanasia. Nice. That's a good one. Some people won't get it. They'll just be like, what's this ute in Asia? Shut up. Get out of here. Put your helmet back on, pal. Euthanasia. I love it. You work tomorrow, but I booked all next week off. Oh, stop. I have a game show on Saturday. Which game show is it? And 5 Panzer IIs, 5 Panzer 38s, 5 251s on the way, ready to build. Whilst. Ah, you must be from Britain. Whilst. Firstly, firstly, done and dusted. I think I've actually used whilst before. But not firstly. We do use secondly, but we don't use firstly. We word it in a different way. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just, it's just not something that gets used. Phalanx. Great name for St. Helens. Oh, that's St. Helena. That's right. That's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Where the hell is St. Helens? St. Helens in Britain? Patron saint of taking it like a Greek. St. Helen. St. Helen. It's an opportunity to... St. Helens... Is it St. Helens? UK? Oh, St. Helens, yes. UK, where is this? Oh, that's... Oh, I bet they talk funny there. It's on the outskirts of Liverpool. St. Helens. Brewdog Stadium. The World of Glass. Have a bar called the Turk's Head. I'll drink to that. Oh, man. The Turk's Head. They do talk a bit off like. I also found your Skytrex German decals and the air recognition flags. I have some of those Skytrex decals, and they're pretty freaking decent. At least the ones that are 1/76 scale. They're pretty damn decent. Actually, they're really good. I should say. And I don't think they're all on one sheet. They're individual decals. How they always used to be. All decals used to be individually cut. Now, you might actually have to cut some of those individual things down, but they were always individual decals. I'm actually going to extend this out so I can put the turn marker there. But this new fad of like, oh, it's all on one sheet and you have to cut them out yourself, that's just lazy. That just wasn't the case before. And I don't know, maybe it takes really complicated machinery to do that. And that may be the reason why they do that. They don't have something that could cut it down, but But the worst decals ever, assume other than ones that are falling apart, are by that German company. I can't even, and they're prolific advertisers on eBay. Prolific advertise, and that's the worst decals I've ever encountered. Petting House, they suck. There's no other way around. There's no decals worse than now. There's decals that are from an old kit that's 30 years old that have dry rotted and you can't use them. Okay, but when they're new, the Petting House decals are the worst because it's both bad things. It's all one sheet and they're thick as hell. You know? And those things are just like, no. And it's funny, some of the best decals are actually some of the Eastern European makers. The decals that come with models, the couple of UMs that I have, superb decals. Now, models instructions are terrible. Well, they're not great, so. The Russians are the ones that have terrible instructions on their models, which isn't a huge deal for me, but it can be for others. It could be a bit, how would you say, off-putting. Chipmunk fish, who? The cricketer's arms. What else did I just saw something about a chipmunk. The sheesh. Pepe's, is that an Italian restaurant? Do you have Italian restaurants in Britain? My daughter, who spent half a year in Spain, says they don't know how to do Italian food there, which kind of surprised me because they're, like kissing cousins. Oh, chipmunk fish and chips. There's no fish there. Hey, this fish tastes kind of funny. It ain't fish. See, and you made fun of me the other day. I'm actually fine with potato chips being called crisps. It makes sense. I'm just not calling fries chips because they don't look like chips. But I'm fine calling they should be called wedges is what they should be called. But I'm fine calling our potato chips crisps. Makes sense to me, The numbers are all individual. Oh, no. Wait. I thought you were talking about, like, serial numbers on a U.S. tank. That would be a nightmare. Oh, yeah, individual numbers, sure. The I-94 ones are slightly skinnier, but prearranged. Well, I'm fine either way on those. I can go both ways on the numbers. I really do like yellow numbers on a Panzer Gray vehicle. They look sharp. They look really, really good. For a Nazi bastard tank. It's not the tank's fault. Here we go. Let's look at these. Let's see what these lights are made of. Let's dissect the lights and put them in a format that works for my painting style. Okay, it's two separate lights, and I don't think I'm going to go darker than that. Although the turn signal seems to be a little on the white side. But the turn signal is past the corner. So, let's get the thinnest one I can get my hands on. And let's thin that down, and we're going to drop a line. I bet I say that a lot. Other ones you're so you have all of them except the best ones. Well, you can hand paint them. I've hand painted solid numbers. It's not that difficult. It does take time. It's not that difficult. Maybe I have a lot of practice at it. Stuff like that I find is empowering. As long as as long as it turns out how you like it. If it doesn't turn out how you like it, well, that's demoralizing. That brush is not. It just won't do. That brush won't do. All brushes lose their spark over time, so I don't like using a brush that is really detail oriented. If I don't need to use it for something really detail oriented, because it's getting burned out on something not so important. All right. Well, shouldn't have done that. Not a big deal, but all right. Now, let's put these little semicircles where they need to go. I need to do 4 of them. Let's just lighten this up just ever so slightly. Remember that guy? Ever so slightly. Got to do 2 on each side. Almost looks like an ultramarine's little U, without the little side things, without the horns. You know, the classic German numbers, and I feel like they weren't so prevalent like in 1941, is the white numbers with the red or the red numbers with a white outline. That's like the classic numbers. And when you get some of those, they don't look right because sometimes the red isn't thick enough. So there's so much white around it that the red isn't like, it almost looks like white outlines with red centers instead of like a red number with a white outline. It's like not dominant enough. It's kind of hard to explain until you see it. But I got some Czech 38s with solid yellow. I think I do. I think they're solid yellow numbers. But I hand painted those. Let's see. I don't even remember what the hell I have anymore. Do I? Let's see, I've got 3. Yep. And these things look cute. Yeah. And I wanted them small, so I hand painted those. Yeah, there it is on the back. 334. Damn, these things look good. Let me do some World War II tanks too. I like the Panzer Ray vehicles. Well, I like the way they did the Africa Corps ones too. I'm not a huge fan of Dunkelgelb things, but maybe I just like all of them. There's a poem called Bird in Hand. Can't call that in America. Sure you can. There's rude name things here in America. You know, there are rude things in America. There's that one restaurant that they have, and I wouldn't go to it. And it's a restaurant where the waiters actually talk to you like you're a piece of trash. It's called what is it? Is it Dick's Last Resort? Something like that. It's like one of those wing seafood place, like places where you like gotta eat like a you gotta wear like a bib or something like that. I forget what it is, but they go in there and they just call you names. Hey, what do you fucking assholes have? I mean, and they'll like write shit like you gotta wear like a hat or something like that or a bib, and they'll write they'll write insulting things on your thing. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't fly. Well, it's the whole reason I wouldn't go there. I mean, like I don't put up with shit like that. I think that's what it's called, Dick's Last Resort. And that's their shtick. They go in there and they treat you like you're a piece of shit. Yeah, a piece of shit that's paying their wages. Best named pubs in Britain. Okay, well then you got like the classic ones. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like, Dirty Duck, Drunken Duck Inn, Bucket of Blood. I might have a drink over at the Bucket of Blood. There was a strip bar. Not that I went to it, but on the outskirts of Miami that I thought was one of the most ingenious name places ever. It was called the Booby Trap. And I think it had, like boobies, not graphic, but I mean they were done like that looked like, boobs as the O's. Fucking brilliant. Brilliant. That's one of my favorite Britishisms. We say something brilliant. Love it. Did see a few illustrations of a tank with a red fist number, then empty ones after it. Oh, yeah, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. Tigers used to do shit like that. It doesn't look right. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it on any of my vehicles. Did look to see if it was for an actual reason. He might have mentioned it to me and I forgot. No, I don't think I mentioned it other than it looks like ass. I think so the company stands out. A lot of the tanks in North Africa. In North Africa, there was two Panzer divisions, the 15th and the 21st. The 21st, in its regiment, I think during the duration of the entire thing, had really big numbers. And towards the end, I believe they were red numbers with white outlines. Really big ones. So on a Panzer III, it's like they're going over everything on the side of the turret. They're going through the little division flap that's on the side. So it's all like disheveled looking, right? Because the more stuff you go over with the decals, the more irregular it's going to look. So the 21st used all those. The 15th used primarily one-digit codes, and it was the company number. So, you'd have, the first company, all the vehicles would have 1111111111111 on all of them. So, tank 114 would look exactly the same as tank 113, except somewhere it would have 113 written on it. Maybe on the back of the toolbox, or maybe small side on the hull. And I saw an illustration of that, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do mine as 15th Panzer Division, because I hate the way the big number looks like when it goes over everything. I mean, if you've got like a Panzer 4G or an H or something like that, where it doesn't have the vision flap, no problem. But as soon as you go over one of those things, it just looks wrong. Even photographic evidence of them doesn't look right. It's just like there's no way somebody would be stupid enough to draw the thing over, you know. So I'm like I'm going to avoid that like the plague. And I saw an illustrations probably on that encyclopedia. You know those things that we talked about earlier that you go on the internet and you can find encyclopedia of tanks or whatever. And there was an illustration that somebody had done whether it was correct or not, whether it was inspired by fantasy or not, of a 15th Panzer Division tank for North Africa that had one big number and then somewhere else it had the whole full number, you know, spelled out. So it was like, you know, a big 2, and down somewhere else it was 211, you know. So, you know, 211, 212, 213, they would all have the same 2 on them. And that's... I did not lock the garage. Hold on a second. That's what I went with my vehicles. But you know, there's general rules, but there's like Gross Deutschland does weird shit. I think they have numbers that start with like a 0. It just, you know, 11th Panzer Division would use like 2-digit numbers. You know, just weird stuff. I don't like all the weirdisms. You know. Yeah, the distortion. Well, that's the thing is you can't do the distortion right. Right? If you get a decal and the numbers are all the same size, as soon as you go over any surface, that number is going to be smaller. So you're going to have like 3, 2, 1. It's like, that doesn't make sense, you know? So I avoid that like the plague. I have one that I did it on it. It pisses me off looking at it. I know, I want to get pissed, so let me pull it out. That means angry, not drunk. Where is she? It's a Panzer IV with a here she is. This is a Hasegawa Panzer IV-H. Panzer IV F2. Sorry. And it's 531. But look at the middle number. It looks almost like 15 millimeter size instead of 20. Because it's going over that damn flap. You know? Damn, it looks good. Maybe these cars look so... I'm like, man, these tanks look better than I remember them being. Maybe my cars look like ass. Yeah, I love my Panzer Gray vehicles. I like the Russian ones, so I'm really happy with all the tanks. With the 1941 organization were the lower numbered companies, the light tanks, and the higher the Panzer IVs. So, as a general rule, I love talking about this. Let me tell you what I figured out from guesswork. Okay. So, as a general rule, you've got companies 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is like the Barbarossa. And then you've got, and then in one battalion. So this is battalion 1. And battalion 2, got to use Roman numerals, is 5, 6, 7, and 8. Company 4 and 8 are always the ones with the Panzer IVs. These always have the Panzer IVs in them. Okay? And as a general rule, these had about 21 tanks in them. Whereas companies 1, 2, 3, and 5, 6, and 7 would have, I want to say like 30 tanks in them. So these were larger. Or really, the Panzer IV companies were smaller. So most Panzer divisions, and these would have like 1, 2, and 3 were basically the same. Okay, they would have like 3 platoons of Panzer IIIs, and then 1 platoon of 2s. Almost all of these. And it wasn't like 1 had all the light tanks and 2 had 3s. No, they were mixed. They were mixed in all of these. Now, there's some Panzer divisions that were over strength. Okay? There were some Panzer divisions that were over strength, and they would have 3 battalions. So you'd have a battalion 1, a battalion 2, and a battalion 3. And I think this only happened in 1941, and there may have been some in 1942 that had 3 battalions. It was pretty much a 1941 opening Barbarossa. And generally, there were ones that had the Czech tanks in them. So you'll see pictures of Czech tanks. In that case, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you would have a 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then you have a 9, a 10, 11, and 12. Because you'll see pictures of Czech 38s that have 1000 series number, like 10 10 or something like that. Maybe not 1010, but 1011 or something like that. So and generally these down here would be the ones with the Panzer IVs. That's generally the rule. Now, that's going into Barbarossa. Now, what I have noticed, and it's not scientific, but what I have noticed is that there's a trend for the number style to be consistent along the entire Panzer Division. Because remember, this is a Panzer Regiment. You got 2 battalions, or you can have a super strength Panzer Regiment with 3 battalions. There is a trend for the numbering system and the series of numbers in style to be consistent, either the whole regiment or each individual battalion. Like, for instance, solid numbers 1 through 4 in white, and 5, 6, 7, and 8 as hollow white numbers. I don't know what the pattern is. I'm not retired, otherwise I would work on my thesis doing that, because I think it would be interesting. But there seems to be a trend. Now, not necessarily all throughout the war, but at the same time. So Panzer Gray vehicles on some XYZ Panzer Division might have companies 1 through 4 in solid white numbers and 5 through 8 in hollow white numbers. Or hollow white and then hollow ones with red centers. It seems to be that kind of a trend. You're not going to find, unless it's really kit bashed together later on in the war, you're not going to find a number style in the 5th tank company of all kinds of different numbers. They're all going to be like, okay, if these guys are for the XYZ Panzer Division, all of the 5th companies are all going to be in the same style number. They're either going to be solids, or they're going to be they're going to be outline whites, or they're going to be yellow, or they're going to be that sort of a thing. That's the tendency that I see without doing my thesis on it yet. Yeah, it's okay. I don't mind repeating the same. I got to repeat the same things that I'm not interested in repeating to people 30 fucking times a day. This actually I enjoy repeating. So I think the 7th was overstrength due to hogging the 38s. I believe it is as well. I believe it is as well. The 6th was overstrength, but it's all 35s. Remember, the Panzer divisions that have check tanks, they only have check tanks. And there's none that have 38s and 35s mixed in. And the ones that had 35s to 38s, they still had Panzer IIs and they still had Panzer IVs. The Panzer IVs are going to be in the heavy companies. Actually, technically, they called them medium companies. And they had about 20 vehicles as opposed to, 30-something in the other ones. So, if you find a picture of the 7th Panzer Division in Barbarossa, their vehicles are probably all use the same number style during the same period. I'm sure they changed throughout the war. With the number style that they were using on Czech tanks in 1941 is not going to translate the same as like Panzer IVs that they used at Kursk. It's not going to be the same thing. The other thing I've noticed is SS tanks. Now we're skipping way back in the back, but SS tanks tended to have black numbers with white outlines. I'm not saying other units didn't have those. SS tanks had a high predominance of that. Easy to remember because they kind of look more SS-ish anyways, but that seems to be the tendency. Again, I haven't started working on my research paper, but that's the stuff that I've noticed. I've noticed those type of things. And it's the exception of the rule of the vehicles that don't use the 3-number system. Like I said, the 15th Panzer Division used them in North Africa. I don't think they ever used the 3-number system. They always used the big company number. Grossdeutschland used something different. A few Panzer Division used 2-number ones. I know the 11th is one of them. I personally prefer the 3, so I would avoid doing those vehicles just because I don't like the look of 1 or 2. I knew I was going to specifically make the 15th Panzer Division, and I just dealt with it, but my preference is to use the standard 3. And then late in the war, I don't know if they did it on the Eastern Front, but certainly in Normandy, there was a couple of tank units that instead of later in the war, they strictly only had, nobody had 3 companies, right? So they would do weird shit like, they would start the first vehicle instead of it being, and like say the first company of, the first platoon of the fifth company. It would normally, the first tank in the first platoon of the 5th company would normally be 511. And they started doing screwy shit. I know that Hitler Jugend did one of these things like at Battle of the Bulge. They started their first vehicle as like 517, and then 518, and then 519, that kind of stuff. They started with 6. 516, 517, 518, just to screw with stuff, And then later on, like in Normandy, when there was 2 battalions, because originally they were going to have everything with Panthers, and obviously they didn't make enough vehicles for that. So they had one battalion that was Panthers and the other one that was Panzer IVs. And generally, almost always, the first battalion was the one that had the Panthers. Almost always. So Panthers generally were the lower numbered digits that started off with. So, but it's just trends that I've seen. I don't want to. I don't like to do things however I want to do them. Like let's see what reality seems to bring in it. Something seems to be really off. I'm not going to do that. Or maybe I'll do something that's more. But it's just kind of interesting to see what the trends are. And to delve even deeper, were the reconnaissance and Panzerjäger units using low numbers since they were separate? I think I have that right anyway. I think like the Panzerjäger companies, since they're all in one company, they just a lot of them used either 2-digit codes or 1-digit code as a general rule, I think. And Stugs kind of did it, but Stugs kind of went both ways. Recon, I have no idea. I have no idea. But recons are only going to be in one company at all. The other thing I've kind of surmised is that when you have a company of vehicles that are mixed, that have Panzer threes and twos, earlier in the war, the Panzer twos, I suspect, are the higher numbered tanks in the platoon. So if you're going to have, if you want to do, if you're obsessed for whatever reason to do the third company, first tank, if you're going to do the third company, first platoon, you're going to have tanks that are called 311, 312, 313, 314, and if you have a lot of tanks in there, you'd have 315. Almost certainly these guys down here are going to be the Panzer IIs. It seems to be that way. Because this is going to be the command tank of this whole platoon. Of this whole platoon. Or this whole squad. Yeah. So this is, and then, so this is going to be a Panzer III. And then the higher number ones that are, because they use those as main battle tanks, but also kind of, light tanks within the actual, within the actual unit. So that's what I've kind of noticed, and I wanted to do those trends before I numbered all my Africa Corps guys. So I don't have every consecutive number, but my Panzer IIs are definitely the higher numbered ones. You can always ask your friend who's the expert on that shit. I don't know where he gets those documents. He may just invent some of this shit. I don't know, but there is a fair amount of estimated guesswork, which we all have to do. So you just have to think, okay, well, but there's always things that are just outside. There are always there's trends, and there's things that are just outside the trends. So there is always some guesswork that you need to do. So. Okay, so that's going to be the front of this car. How many people did I put to sleep with the German nomenclature of the number? And it really pisses me off that there's this much stuff known about the Germans, and then the other things are like, fuck them. Look, everything's important, right? Like, I'm interested in the British tanks and the Soviet ones are just absurd. There's either no numberings or they're consecutive, and it's just a shit show, Yeah, we'll see if he has any info too. He's been engrossed in American Civil War. There's a cure for that, but it might involve a lobotomy. I don't know why anybody across the pond would be interested in the American Civil War. I'm certainly not. I'd rather almost go to work than play an American Civil War game. Boring. It's not my people. We weren't over here, That's not my responsibility. The American Civil War was going on. We were having siestas, eating empanadas in the old world. Drinking olive oil like it was going out of style. We had nothing to do with these heathens over here. That's these people who got kicked out of Europe. Fighting over each other's shoes, But there's a lot of, especially now, that there's just so much stuff on the internet that is just made up bullshit. There's not enough people that just say, look, we don't know. They're like, yeah, this is it right here. And then just, misinformation is worse than no information. you start seeing a lot of stuff that's like, yeah, this is how it is. And then, you know, it's wrong. It's like, man, it starts making you question everything. You know, there's so much wrong information on the internet that they don't come out and say, we don't know. They're like, yeah, it's like this. And then it just, you know, it steers you in a, and ultimately it's, you know, it's not really that important, but you'd like to be accurate, you know. All right, well, I got to go pay attention to the other people that live here. So we're going to cut this one off, and I'll see if we can finish this off in the morning. But anyways, thanks for stopping by, folks.